The main difference is when you're doing an interview for a college and for a job or for a career would be the outcome that you want. So if you're going for an interview for a college, we'll say, and you've identified a course, you really need to know what the college would expect from you as a potential student. So obviously they're not going to choose somebody that they think will do a year and then go, because that's not a viable option for them. So they're looking for somebody who's motivated, who knows what they want, who can give experience and have a conversation about why they should be the right person to be chosen for that particular college or training course, and that they can sell themselves and say and maybe imagine themselves on completion of the course, what that would do for their lives, that they can have that conversation. And while there's similarities between that and we'll say the interview for the job, it's all about focus and it's all about being the right person for the job. The focus, I suppose, for the job interview is to have the tools ready, which is your CV ready, and be able to, and your application form that links into your CV, and be able to sell yourself for that particular job. To prepare for the interview, either type of interview, it's all about the outcome. So you need to know what is the outcome and where you're at, and the core areas in between. So you need to be able to identify the core areas in between. For example, you're going for the interview for the job. What is the employer looking for? You know, you have the job description, so you need to be able to fit yourself into that job description under three different areas: under training or qualifications, under work experience, and under your core skills, which is all about your attitude and why you're the best person for the job. As a coach, I never just do interview skills unless the CV, they've already gone through the process of the CV. I'll always look at the CV first, because the objective of the CV is to get you an interview, and the objective then of the interview is to get a job. And how you get your job is to sell the CV and sell yourself within the interview. So the first step is to really look at the CV and see, is it promoting you? Is the language right? The layout right? Or how will the reader perceive you when they do read the CV? And then follow through on interview skills after the CV has worked and you have your interview. What makes an eye-catching CV is the person behind the CV. As a career coach, the first thing we say is that you don't need to lie in your CV. It's really important to be honest. If you're selling yourself from where you're coming from, like what somebody might perceive as weaknesses could be possibly strengths. So it's about seeing yourself differently and promoting yourself differently. So we really begin, it's about really understanding where your strengths are. And when you understand where your strengths are, you don't need to lie. You just promote your strengths. When you're looking at a CV, the three main areas are the training, the qualifications, the work experience, and the interests. So if the person is here and can say, well, where are my areas of strengths and where are my areas of weakness within those three areas, they can begin to address those within the CV. So it's about language in addressing those three areas. It's about layout. So you need to look at it always from the employer's point of view. What is the employer looking for? They're looking for a 2-page document, a 1 to 2-page document. I would recommend 2 pages, where the core information is in the front page, that they can scan through in less than a minute and decide, is this a potential employee for me or interviewee for me? So therefore the CV needs to be succinct, it needs to be laid out well in the different categories. There's only 5 to 6 categories in a CV, and it needs to be easy to read. So I would suggest probably font 11 with font 11.5 for anything you want the reader, which is your interviewer, to see. And there's lots of layouts. It's about content within those 3 areas after that. And I do use bullet points because that's much easier to read. There are 2 different ways that I would recommend. One is to present yourself from beginning to end. So you left school, and then what did you do after school? So somebody will read the CV itself by the date. So this is Johnny Black, and oh, I can see he's approximately about 40, and this is the process. Oh, he's got this experience here, and then he went on to do this, and then he did this course. So I have the story of Johnny there. So that's one way that a potential employer will read a CV. And another way they'll read it is based on what they actually want in terms of the work experience or the qualifications. So my top 3 tips when doing an interview is to be really focused on the job, to understand what the job is. The second would be your appearance. So you need to really make a really good first impression. And the third is all about body language, your body language within the interview. And that is about your body language, but also your attitude. My 3 interview no-nos would be: don't be late, don't use mono words. It's really important to not just say yes or no, but expand why, because it's an opportunity to sell yourself. And don't be nervous. And that might seem like a very simple thing to say, but if you look again at your abilities and your skills and begin to sell those, it brings an inner confidence. Sometimes we use role plays as part of the interviews. We'll say, for example, if the client is extremely nervous or unsure of what to do, like body language is a huge part of interview skills, and to come in and link in with the interviewer. A lot of clients can get very nervous about that process. So we tend to do a lot of role plays and get them to prepare and practice before actually coming into the coaching session, so that they're feeling confident and proficient when they're going for their interview.